Hello everyone, welcome to Builder Buy. Thanks for joining us today. I'm your host, Gil Boyd, and we're going to show you the case we've got our Threadripper in. I want to take a look at the front of it, take a look at the back of it, and take a look at the inside of it. The reason we chose this case, and this is a little bit of information I want to share with you about our case we've got our first Threadripper built in. This is the Corsair Obsidian 750D airflow. With the airflow, what we get when this spins around, I'll show you because I've got it on a Lazy Susan, it'll spin automatically. But while we're looking at the back, I want to point out right here where this cable comes through. This is the cable that comes with the power tap on the top of the motherboard, where you have the two, I believe those two 8-pin power taps. This case makes it easy to route these cables on the back side. Really nice case. And if you'll notice, we've also got room here toward the front on the back side for 1, 2, 3, 4 SSDs. Pretty handy. And of course the SSDs are SATA drives. And then we have a couple of racks on the inside I'll show you when it gets around there, which is really nice to have. And as we get around to the business end on the rear, we've got this case fully loaded. Now we wanted a case for our Threadripper that could take an air cooler and a liquid cooler, and this case can handle it. Now the liquid cooler was our first option. We did that with the Ryzen computer. That was like building a watch. With this computer we decided to go with an air cooler, and we went with the Noctua. The Noctua is actually our third choice, but I like it. It fits. Now if we were to put a Threadripper in a rack mount case, we wouldn't use this Noctua cooler, we'd use the one right below it. I'll put a link up to show you, but I wanted to share with you some information about this base. Part of what we're doing is we're looking at a Lazy Susan that we're spinning this on turntable, which is automated. So as you look at the case, you can see inside, see the back. This thing is loaded. We've got everything in it. We've got a high-end video card. We've got an ASUS quad card in here, which is the ASUS M.2 by 16 card, which is 4 NVMe drives. We've got a Radeon 9100 video card in here, which is the Radeon Pro WX 9100. We've also got Thunderbolt 3 card in this system. So the first 16-lane slot is a video card. The second 16-lane slot is bifurcated with 4 NVMe drives. The boot drive, also an NVMe drive. But this case handles everything. Now the power supply we've got in here is the G3 1000 watt. It's the largest power supply we can get in the smallest amount of space. On the next Threadripper build we do, probably a different case, and we're also going to use an EVGA G3, but it'll probably be an 850 watt. But I wanted to show you how well this case is laid out and how much space it's got. There were 2 drive bays in here. I removed the top one so I had room to get my hands in here to work. Now this looks sloppy, I've got to rework it, but when I was putting the devices in the top, I put them in the order that I thought I wanted to put it in, but once I got them installed, I don't like them, I'm going to reverse them, and when I reverse them, it'll change the cable layout, and I'll be able to route those cables and make a much neater presentation. As Ray would say, that bothers me, I don't like it. But what I want to show you on the front of the case, as the case comes stock, we've got 2 USB 3 and 2 USB 2 ports. Those are plugged in straight to the motherboard. You've also got your audio connection. Power button's right here in the center, it lights up. Drive light right, and a reset button over here, and the drive light is on the edges of this. Now we put this device in the top, and Ray had this idea. So in one 5 1/4 drive, we can put a 2.5-inch SSD and a 3.5-inch drive. Nice. It also has 2 more USB 3 ports on the 19-pin header. So there's one 19-pin header, and there's the other 19-pin header. Both taken, that's what's on the motherboard. The board we have in here is the Gigabyte X399 Aorus Extreme. Nice motherboard, great motherboard. I like what AMD and what Gigabyte have done with the board. On the front, with the 3 drives, top drive occupied, second drive is the Blu-ray. We use DVD Architect, so we've got to have a Blu-ray drive. And the third, this is a device that came from a Casa. How long have we had access to USB-C? Quite a long time. So with this device, we now have USB-C on the front of the case, and it has the multi-pin connector that goes in the motherboard. Nice. We also again have 2 USB 3 ports. It's on the 19-pin connector, but it also has USB 2. Now I thought when I got this I could monkey with that and change that out. Can't. This thing is totally self-contained with the cables coming out the back. So USB-C or USB 3.C, whatever you want to call it, and that spec is changing. We're going to talk more about that later. The USB 3, in fact, they're going to call it USB 5 gigabit, 10 gigabit, and 20 gigabit. That'll be nice. and then of course the old USB 2. So what I'd have to do to enable this USB 2 is we put a USB, we've installed a PCI Express USB 3 card on the board in a single lane slot to give us more ports, but we still don't have, we get this 19-pin header plugged in, but we still don't have USB 2 because we need the internal connector. We have two connectors on the motherboard. One is being occupied by these two ports, and because we have Thunderbolt 3 installed, got to choose your resources. The Thunderbolt 3 had to have one USB 2 header. That's where the other one goes. So we could get one, but we'd have to dumb down a USB 3 port for that. What I need is a card that has two 19-pin headers. And I've got a card in here that has one 19-pin header. So I'm looking. I may change out. It works, but I may change it out because I've got some stuff for the thumb drives for some of the audio software we use that licensing issues. You've got those stupid keys you got to have. I'd rather have the keys in the back or inside, but I wouldn't put them inside because every internal hub I've seen is not worth spit. So this is the way the case is laid out. I can pop this with a couple of fans, and if we go back and look on the inside, the case originally had 3 fans. We've changed those 3 fans out from 3 3-pin fans to 3 4-pin fans. And the reason for the 4-pin fans is so the motherboard can control them, and it sees and sets the speed according to the thermistors for wherever we think the hot spots are. 2 thermistors, 3 fans. We set that all in the BIOS so we don't have to monkey with any extra software. You can if you want to, but we want to keep it clean and keep it minimal. So, and the 3 fans we use are the Noctua industrial fans. And the fans on the cooler comes with 1 fan. We put a second fan on it, so we get good airflow once we get the lids on. Lids haven't been on yet, but they're going on when we get through doing all the testing. We've been doing Thunderbolt 3, which was interesting, and we've been doing NVMe RAID, which was also interesting. And we've got videos up on that. So I'm going to let this spin on around so you can see how this case looks. It's a nice case, really good. What I like about it, I've mentioned. What I don't like, and this is something with every Corsair case I've seen, the feet on this case suck. In fact, this case came with 2 feet on the front and no feet on the rear. So what I'm going to do is just put some thermal pads underneath here, or something like appliance pads that'll keep things quiet. But as far as the feet, being able to move it in and out, the best case for those kind of feet has got to be a Lee & Lee. Lee & Lee is my favorite, but I don't like what Lee & Lee is making right now. It's hard to find a case, and cases are not really that great anymore. They're dumbing them down with the glass. The glass is a great idea, probably less static electricity than you get with the acrylic, but I need function and I need access to stuff on the front. I don't want to have to reach inside to pull drives out, because when these lids are on and this is sitting in an area where there's another case stacked by it, there's no way to get to this stuff without pulling the case out, and I need to be able to get to that stuff. So what we'll have in this rack down here, 1 drive internal, may have an SSD internal. Otherwise everything is going to come out the front, because just like what we're using to record the meeting with, our rack mount SSD recorder uses SSDs, so we need some way. So the old way is out of the 3.5 inch, put the 2.5 inch in the 3.5 inch converter, put that in the 3.5 inch drive bay. But now I can stick it straight into a 2.5 inch with this device. So again, I'll probably rearrange those. But as far as the case goes, I like the case. This is probably the best Corsair case we've had. It's and it does have better airflow. This grill is easy to pull off, and right now we've got it where the air from the front goes through to the rear, and probably what we'll do for the top is blow air out the top since heat rises. I have not installed the fans in the top because most of the time right now for the videos I've had a monitor sitting on top, and I've had a device up here for Thunderbolt 3 which completely blocks all this off. So with the fans inside, 2 fans later we'll put in the top, 3 industrial fans, 2 regular fans, we should be good to go for heat. But nice case, and hope you enjoyed that. So another little piece of information for build or buy.